we are Anchor. You can support us with the Super Thanks button below.
Why has Russian leader Vladimir Putin, who is considered to have one of the most powerful armies in the world, failed in his invasion of Ukraine? This question has been on the agenda ever since Putin began his invasion of Ukraine. This is because the Russian army has suffered huge losses since the beginning of its occupation of Ukraine. So much so that the Russian army has lost nearly 200,000 soldiers and tons of ammunition in its attempt to invade Ukraine. The resistance of the Ukrainian army has spread to the territory of Russia. There were many explosions and fires in Russia. The invasion has turned into a big war, and it seems that Russia will raise the white flag in this war. There are many reasons for the failure of the Russian army. One of the most important of these reasons is undoubtedly the fact that the majority of the army and the population did not know about Putin's invasion of Ukraine. When Russian leader Vladimir Putin drove his tanks into Ukraine's Donbass on February 24, 2022, the invasion officially began. But the vast majority of the army and the population did not learn about the start of the occupation until later. The invasion, which Putin launched for his personal interests and political career, was largely unaccepted by the Russian people and the military. While the public organized continuous protests for an end to the war, the soldiers in the Russian army did not want to take part in the occupation of Ukraine. With soldiers who don't want to fight and people who don't support him, Putin, who still hasn't achieved success against Ukraine, is in trouble. While Putin is struggling to continue the occupation with the handful of soldiers he has left, his plans to solve the troop problems are failing. Russian soldiers surrender to Ukrainian troops at the first opportunity they find. Since the beginning of the Russian-Ukrainian War, thousands of Russian soldiers have surrendered to Ukrainian troops. So much so that Ukrainian authorities have created a surrender hotline and a surrender mobile app to systematically handle the ever-increasing number of surrenderers. This hotline, called I Want to Live, has been called by tens of thousands of Russian soldiers. In addition, the families of Russian soldiers also called the line and received information about the surrender process. Thousands of Russian soldiers surrendered to Ukrainian troops with the I Want to Live project. So what do the soldiers who surrender to Ukraine do? Russian soldiers who surrender to Ukrainian troops can continue their lives as they wish. Surrendered soldiers can continue to live in Ukrainian territory or return to their own lands. Some soldiers choose to join the Ukrainian army and fight against Putin. The number of soldiers who left the Russian occupiers and switched sides to fight in the Ukrainian army is increasing every day. So much so that the Russian soldiers who surrendered to Ukraine have formed a group called the Free Russia Legion to fight against the occupying Putin. Hundreds of new Russian soldiers have recently joined the Free Russia Legion. The problems within the Russian army and Putin's occupying attitude is one of the biggest reasons for Russian soldiers to join the Free Russian Legion. After the lack of soldiers and ammunition, the next biggest problem in the Russian army is the factions within the army. The factions within the army cause thousands of soldiers to change sides. The Russian army of the Russian Armed Forces, the Wagner Group, the private mercenary military company, and Kadyrov's Chechens are the main factions within the Russian army. While Wagner Group soldiers do not listen to the commanders of the Russian army of the armed forces, Chechen soldiers are humiliated by both groups because of their beliefs and race. These groupings bring with them many inhumane problems. Russians who do not support Putin's idea of invading Ukraine and want to get rid of the factions within the army have joined the Free Russia Legion. Russian soldiers who do not want to fight against Ukraine ask themselves, "Why am I at war?" He asked the question and in response preferred to surrender to the Ukrainian troops. The soldiers who surrendered to Ukrainian troops ask themselves the question, "Why am I not fighting against the occupiers?" In answer to this question, they joined the Free Russian Legion. A Russian soldier who joined the Legion explained it in the following words, "I entered this war anyway. I thought I could either die as an occupier and a murderer or die with a clear conscience, so I switched sides." Not wanting to help Putin carry out his inhumane actions, Russian soldiers surrendered to the Ukrainian army and formed the Free Russian Legion. In their manifesto, the Legion stated their goals as follows: fighting for a new Russia in liberation from President Vladimir Putin's dictatorial regime, Russian soldiers who want to join the Free Russian Legion go through a very difficult interview process. These interviews are designed to identify Russian occupying soldiers who are spies and want to join the Legion, and to test the soldiers' endurance. The soldiers are first subjected to a lie detector test. Those who pass the test are subjected to heavy training. After completing this training, the soldiers are eligible to join the Legion and start fighting against the Russian invaders. Legion members hide their identities, as most of their families are in Russia. In the video messages they broadcast, the Legion members hide their faces with masks and hide their identities with pseudonyms. The images shared on social media in recent days have once again revealed the determination of the soldiers in the Free Russian Legion. A masked Russian soldier in the footage said he took risks by joining the Legion, but said he would do anything to fight Putin, because Russian leader Vladimir Putin has committed many inhumane and unlawful acts to invade Ukraine. The 25-year-old soldier explained that they were fighting to end Putin's inhumane actors and to have a free Russia. Another Legion member, who introduced himself as Professor, said, "I realized that there were men like me on the other side. I can't go against my principles. I want my country to be free and democratic." Russian soldiers who change sides are making a great contribution to the Ukrainian army. The Ukrainian army receives information about the Russian army's war strategy, important areas where the occupying troops are stationed, and Russian commanders from Russian soldiers who want to switch sides and fight against Putin. As a result of this information, the Ukrainian army carries out successful operations. The Free Russia Legion has carried out many operations since its establishment. The Legion has used many tactics in these operations. One of these tactics was a spectacular tactic. The soldiers of the Legion hung Russian flags on their tank and entered the area under control of the Russian occupiers. The Legion members gathered detailed intelligence about the Russian invaders in this area and passed the information to the Ukrainian army. With the support of the Ukrainian army, the Legion members organized attacks on the occupation points in the region. While the command centers of the occupiers were captured, ammunition depots were blown up. The Russian army is being depleted every day. Although Russian leader Vladimir Putin is developing new measures and strategies every day to prevent its exhaustion, he is not successful. It looks like Putin will soon wave the white flag. Will Putin be able to make up for his setback against Ukraine? What are your thoughts on the Free Russian Legion? Does the Legion have an impact on the course of the war? We are curious about your views. Follow us for more updates.
All rights to these videos belong to Anka Daily News YouTube channel. Our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook usernames are @AnkaDailyNews. Do not rely on any other social media publications. We legally fight all websites and channels that use it without our permission.